Welcome everybody to episode, what is this, 47? It's the Great Matsme, Cantonese Cat, and Tracker. How's it going, guys?
Hi. And we're off to Gravy Town, just like Jatani says.
It's the Gravy Train Town. Got to take the Gravy Train to the Gravy Town. That's what you got to do.
We're going to be down in all those bowls of Riskies. I love that. That promo is great. You guys come up with the best stuff.
Well,
it's all Matt this time. I'm just, I'm just getting
Matt's
frisky, but yeah.
Well, I thought since IWM was outperforming, what better way to introduce tonight than just a risk-on environment? So let's get risky, everybody. Eat your bowl of Riskies. Nom, 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 nom,
ready to risky.
Yes, let's buy all the altcoins, shall we? Because they're so hot lately.
I want to hear about XRP.
Well, that's not risky enough, but I guess we can start it off here with thoughts on IWM and something that I think is a super duper bullish development. And I've shown this chart before since the inception of the IWM, basically the bottom of 2002. This 45-degree angle has been the support. There's really no other support that has been just like it. And it has, every time it's nailed it or wicked below, it has quickly recovered. And what we see now is something that's even more impressive, that it actually closed last month, which was yesterday, above the blue level, and it opened a new month, which was today, above it. And we can see it's such a super important level. It tried to be a support all of 2021, and then it just psych. It's January 2022. It just collapsed. But now we are back above it. We also had another fake out here last year, but we did the V bottom out of there, and we're back above it. So this is really showing maybe it's time, finally, after all this time, for IWM to outperform. And I think we're seeing that with a lot of the Bitcoin miners. And this chart is once again very good. And not only that, the Ichimoku is a perfect example of what happened too. It just went down to backtest the Ichimoku cloud one last time on the monthly chart. And then now it's back above the conversion, the baseline, and it's continuing higher. So I think it is about time for things to be a lot more risky out there. And that includes altcoins. I know that is very, very a sore subject right now because nobody believes it. But this is basically saying that. And also the Bitcoin miners and Robinhood and Coinbase, they're also saying this is going to be a risk-on environment. So if you think that the altcoins are not going to do anything, I don't know. That's just would be a very rare occasion if that happened. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I heard cat meow in the background, or maybe that was his actual cat.
Oh wait, that was my actual cat.
Oh, that was your cat.
That was my cat. That's Pop the cat. He wants me to pet him.
Okay, I thought that was cat actually imitating a cat. Very nice.
Hilarious.
Oh. Well, what about you, Kat? What are your thoughts on everything? I think you're muted. If you are, I can't hear you.
Oh, I guess I can show my.
Oh, there you are.
Here. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pushing. Well, it's getting close to pushing against the 0.86 over here. And it's basically reclaiming the 20-month moving average. I think it's looking pretty decent. I think it's, I cannot be that bearish because there's plenty of room to kind of go up here to Upper Bull in Japan to the 230s. And if it's able to push against that, and the other thing too, I was looking at too, is looking at the wave trend oscillator. I actually like the lazy bear one better. This is like a much quicker version of MACD, if you will. Usually it's able to detect a pretty decent trend change, pretty quickly, and it's usually more powerful here on the monthly. It looks like it's just about to have a bullish cross over here too, right when it's about to smash in 0.86. I mean, I think overall everything looks pretty decent here. I don't really have any concerns about IWM. If you're looking at the weekly Ichimoku too, it looks like for the first time I was worried about it not being able to push inside the weekly cloud over here, but it's doing that right now. It's got, after it got kind of rejected here, you know, a couple of times over here, it's finally able to kind of push in here. You see how it got perfect rejection here, perfect rejection here, perfect rejection last week, but it's like the finally pushed inside. It's got bullish cross over here. Everything looks pretty good. If you until trend line thing, it certainly broke the trend line, you know, and I don't really see anything bad about IWM. Matter of fact, today you got QQQ going down like 1%. I think you're going up 1%. At some point, I think it was up like 2%. So there's certainly some rotation here going on, and I think we've talked about the the Russell over SPX previously, and this is something that we've
this is my favorite
for a
chart.
very, very long time, you know, and I got these arrows here. I haven't really changed any of that. And if you're looking at the RSI, which I think is Matt's favorite indicator, you can see that it's really been building up a lot of bullish divergence where you have a lot of push up with the RSI, while this ratio of Russell 2000 over SP5 has been going down, as opposed to the other way around, right? You know, you would think that the Russell 2000 has always underperformed the S&P 500, but that's not true. There was a period of time closer to about a whole decade and a half where Russell 2000 actually outperforms the S&P 500, and that lasted for more than a decade until it starts to run into this bearish divergence where Russell 2000, even though it was continuing to outperform S&P 500, it got tired, and then its trend changed, and that trend has changed for about a decade and a half, up until the point where it's severely underperforming S&P 500. But we've been building a lot of bullish divergence here for months, and looks like we might be getting ready for maybe some reversal here potentially. We will see. Now, I can't really say that because it's still a downtrend, but on the other hand, IWM certainly is looking a lot better. So I think that as long as IWM is able to really truly get something going here, and that includes really trying to push about the 0.76 here. If he's able to break that again, that was a little bit of a false breakout here. If he's able to break that again, then I think, oh mama, you know, like it's going to be like somewhere up here. And that means that if IWM goes up to 300, that means that a lot of the underlying stocks are also going to look very, very beautiful. This is ARK. I got again ARK here for ARK. Look at the beautiful market symmetry. You know, I just can't, like the 45-degree angle has been holding time after time after time. It's been forming an ascending triangle over here. Push through that, back test the bottom, and it just shot up. You know, you can't really be that bearish on the market if like the ARK fund and Cavi Wood stuff is doing very well, and it looks like it just keeps on forming higher lows and higher highs, and it looks like it's still got more room to kind of go up on here. You know, and if you're also looking at the Ichimoku here, you see how last time back in February it was getting a little bit frisky. But back then, it did not use its mouthwash when it went on a date. It paid for the lobster tail, but it did not penetrate. So we went back and we strategized down here, and then we end up, you know, breaking back above, ask her for a date again, and voila. This time we took her to Subway inside of Walmart, but we did use mouthwash. So right now we're inside. Like with this kind of look, I cannot be that bearish because there's plenty of room to run up to the top of the cloud up here. And there's still plenty, you know, there's still potentially plenty of room to go up here. It doesn't have to make all-time highs for the market to turn really risk on if ARK fund looks like this, you know, and I just can't stress it enough. But anyway, those are really my thoughts. You guys want to kind of take over?
Yeah, actually, before
Thoughts?
Tractor, I want to show you my ARK chart real quick.
Oh yeah, please do. Get it off my screen. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I want to show you what it did. It actually hit resistance. So it hit the 45-degree angle again, and we're seeing rejection. But this is kind of normal, and I think it's probably going to just spend some weeks maybe trying to break free. we can look at some of those fibs from the previous cycle top up here, down here, and we can also coincide that with a potential support, right? So the 50% fib is at the 68.56. So maybe this time around, it's a lot different story than this time around, right? Because this time it was a complete rejection of the angle and that 68.56 50% fib. But this time around, it's actually a breakout and so far a successful back test. So this, even though it looks like a rejection, which it is, it really has the potential to break free, which actually coincides with maybe the IWM continuing higher too, because if this can stabilize right on top of that 68.56, then we could actually see more of an explosive move for ARKK and even head to the 83.70 above, which is the 618, which would be the next resistance on its way to 100. And yeah, I think it is going to go to 100. It'll probably go past 100, maybe even to the 111, 131, or even higher. So who knows? But this is the most bullish this chart has been for a while. But the setup was always there ever since it back tested the ARKs right down here back in 2023. It basically kept on making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows with higher highs. So this is something that is bullish. It's risk on. It's something that complements IWM very well, which also complements money flowing into Bitcoin miners and altcoins, even though everybody hates them right now. That is what I think the opportunity is. That's where I think the opportunity is in altcoins, because they're basically back testing support as we speak, and everybody hates them. Tracker.
So that's a nice introduction to say that this show is going to be a lot about altcoins, I think. Let's see. Go ahead and, bring me up here. I'll flip over. Thanks. So here's the RUT divided by the SPY that Kat was just showing you. And I just threw some fibs on it real quick. So I just was interested to see from the all-time low to the all-time high. It hasn't really quite done the 11.4 mini boss fib. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have to, or maybe it will. Like I'm just looking at this little bit of right here. Maybe just get like one wick there, and then that whenever it touches, I'm going to set an alert right now. Whenever it touches that, then it's go time for the small caps. All right, that was just that. And then I've been really fond of showing the VIX chart in the morning shows of late. Ever since we kind of did, these are just my own arbitrary Rubicons for greed and fear, just past what kind of price, what kind of volatility VIX action has corresponded with fear and greed, and we had this was the 2000 had right here. That's this in the way. There's April 7th right there. That was the absolute panic, and ever since then we've just been getting lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We had this lovely tangential trend line that we were staying under for a little while. Kind of back tested greed here, here, and here. And now we're just pushing down towards what I call my take profits line. Once you start getting towards this one down here, 1344, that's when I was thinking about taking cash, especially towards the extreme greed, because that's where I'm expecting the market to snap back. But this whole time, as long as we're below the greed level in the VIX, stocks are going to keep going up and up and up. So I'm very excited about where we are right now, and there's plenty of time for us to hang around here and for stocks to go higher and higher here in 2025 and 26 too. So there you go. That's all I wanted to show you there. Gosh, why don't you direct me to what? Oh, we were talking about. I wanted to show you my XRP chart. Here's a 16-hour XRP chart, and I did. Sorry. How did I do this? As a retrace. Anyway, I'm looking for 1, 2. 1, 2 is complete. My wave 3, I'm expecting to go to this 141.4 retrace up here at 476. And so all price has been doing so far, kind of riding down this trend line, which makes it look like a bullish wedge down, right? It just kind of keeps trying to get lower and lower, but on declining volume and whatnot. Anyway, I just really want to see XRP do this. 476 back to 429, and then, oh man, I don't know, $24. Well, anyway, we're just going to look for $8.71 maybe this year is what I'm hoping for. All right. Anyway, I'm all over the place. Go ahead, Matt. What do you want to show us? I'm just all giddy. XRP.
Well, we yes, you want it to moon right away, but I don't know if it's ready yet. I think Cat posted on X that it might take 8 years for $8, or no, 2040. Is that what you said, Cat?
No, not 8.
Yeah, more than 8. That's more than 8 years.
Yeah.
That's that's a 15-year-old. That's like somebody who's, you know, I mean, not quite ready, but to move on to college. I mean,
to move on to college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough. We'll just end it right there and switch over to me now, huh?
Well, I think there are a couple of things I want to talk about. There are a couple of things I want to talk about, like macro-wise.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's
We'll
important
switch to you.
to refer to. Yeah, like first of all, I think Matt's been talking about this for a very long time with gold. You know, really having all these wicks up here. It's not looking great. It looks very toppy. It looks like it really has ran a lot higher, and we're really hitting a very strong resistance zone up there. You know, even for me, like I've got a little bit of like a GAN here. It didn't really touch the top of my GAN, but it's hitting resistance zone, kind of like how it did back in August 2020. And what happened back in August 2020? I think that was exactly the time when, not Shiba Inu, that was around the time, if I can reset this together, that was around the time whenever like gold started hit resistance, that was around the time when IWM really started to break out, you know. So I wonder now gold is hitting resistance. It had a big run kind of like that last time. It had a big run when, you know, when IWM just like the blah, 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 you know. But whenever it actually topping, you know, having a big rotation, and that's when IWM ends up like just shooting to the moon. So I wonder whether or not we're kind of hitting around the same area here. The other thing to also look at is obviously look at a lot of things that other people are really scared about, which I don't really understand exactly why. For example, the 10-year yield. And I should probably not use the log scale because it's just, you know, percent. But if you look at the 20-month moving average, it's been showing a lot of weakness for a very long time. This looks more distributive than anything. Wherever it shots up a little bit, everybody's like, oh, no, the 10 years is going to go up to the moon. We worry about rates and, you know, whatever. It looks like the 20-month moving average is really curling down. Looks like it's showing a lot of weakness. Looks like it wants to break down. Kind of like how, whenever it decides to kind of break underneath the 20 like that, it usually makes a big move down. Whenever it breaks about the 20, that usually makes a big move up. And I just think we're getting a little bit more distributive. The other thing that people are also bullish on, which is absolutely something that you should not be bullish on, is oil. Whenever people are like, oh, oil to the moon, you know, there's a conflict in the Middle East, and it shot up all the way to like, you know, the 70s, but it got rejected here, negative sloping 20-month moving average. Looks like it's following a little bit of like a falling 3 pattern over here, big giant red candle, 3 really small green candles, and then next thing you know, it's going to probably be another move down. So inflation is really not that big of an issue. I just don't know why. Like even if you look at the VIX, yeah, is VIX as support? It is, but it's been on the downtrend. You know, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It got rejected at the Ichimoku. You're not supposed to chart the VIX, by the way. But I'm doing it.
Oh, you can chart anything.
I'm being a little, you know, but you know, I get yelled at if I do that. But and I just can't really be that bearish if you look at like the financials, which is a very good barometer. It looks like the XLF, which is the financial sector, is almost going to make all-time high. So yeah, we're going to go bananas soon. I don't really see any other way. I mean, besides that, I think we can move on at some point and talk about like Bitcoin and whatnot. But like, this is risk on. I don't have anything else to say. Even one other risk on indicator I always look at is the QQQ over SPY. This is basically one thing that will always be bullish if it's a bullish market, usually. And we've been on a secular bull market here for a very, very long time. The one time that whenever NASDAQ ended up underperforming SP 500 was really back in 2022 with this big giant downtrend over here. But since then, QQQ has caught up, and since then, you've just been consulting sideways over here. QQQ has been probably doing about the same as SPY, and Nasdaq 100 is roughly doing the same as like SP 500. Until recently, you seem to have a little bit of a breakout here out of the zone. Looks like QQQ wants to continue to outperform here. You look at a couple other indicators, so you see how the sideways over here has been going on for more than 20 months. It's been squeezing Bollinger Band here tightly, and now you got like the three rising, three white soldier pattern. I'm not even going to talk about the other name. Three white soldier pattern over here, and a little bit of Bollinger Band expansion. Looks like QQQ wants to continue to outperform S&P 500, and this is a risk-on thing. If you also look at Ichimoku, I'm basically seeing the same thing. You basically back test the bottom of the cloud here, broke above the cloud. It looks like it wants to reclaim the conversion on the Tenkan up here. It looks like it just wants to continue to go up higher. So I can't really be that bearish on the market based on pretty much like every single thing I'm seeing here. I think the April scare was bad, but we didn't die, so I think we're going higher. Okay. That's all.
Agreed. And Miguel wants me to explain about Cat's alt account. Yes, his alt accounts are the Great Matsby and Tracker. So he just has AI voices for us, and we don't really exist. Yeah, he just has all these other accounts.
Yeah, we're just AI.
That's right. That's right. Imagine I'm the Godfather, and the Great Matsby is Sonny, and the Tracker is Fredo. So,
you heard it here first, guys. Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of like yeah. So.
But yeah, no, I don't have any alt accounts. I don't know if Tracker maybe Tracker does. I don't even know.
None that I'll admit to.
None that I omit. I think that's all of our answers right there. None that we're going to admit to.
Yes. Are you going to fix that, Tracker?
I think you hit the nail on the hammer.
Nail on the head. Yeah.
Yeah, nail on the head. Hammer.
Nail in the head. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, but I think we make our case that things are getting more risk on here, very, very clear. And I think all of us, are kind of positioned as such. Even with Tracker, I know you like to trade. You're also looking for opportunities.
I trade the wave 1 and the 2, and then the smaller 1 and smaller 2. But once it gets into wave 3, I just let it ride. And let me tell you, a bunch of the stocks are now in wave 3. It's time to pick your horses and let them ride.
Yeah, wave 3 is gravy town.
Yeah. It's the longest and strongest.
Even the
third wave.
It really is, and we love wave 3, and it's one. Yeah, just ride it. Don't worry. This is TQQQ. It broke the 0.86. It did last time back in November, but that was a little bit of a false breakout. Obviously, came back down, back to 0.5, back to 0.618, back test the monthly cloud, back test the conversion, back test the baseline, back test the 0.786, and broke through 0.86 again. This is bullish. I don't know what else to say about that. We did not die in April, and TQQQ is about to hit all-time high. So this is not something to be taken lightly. I think that it's possible for even TQQQ to hit some of the targets up here above.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah. All right. What else do you guys want to move on to?
I wanted to move on to maybe some Bitcoin miners. And first, I just wanted to show the We Gonna Make It chart, the WGMI. And we can see that it is also very bullish, right? It's also extremely bullish. Back above the 786 with continuation higher. So this was a battle for a long time, and a nice V-shaped recovery that basically blew through it last week, which kind of set the stage for things to go higher with the Bitcoin miners. And we can see that the 886 is 24.25. That's going to be a hurdle to break above. But once it's free and clear, then I think it's going to be able to make new all-time highs. And I think it's going to get to these fib extensions above, right? And a lot of these miners that people gave up on a while ago, they're probably going to go higher. And we can see targets above potentially 52, 70, maybe even the 1.618 at 105, which seems pretty crazy at this point. But it's been a while since we've experienced a melt up in anything. And a perfect example of that is what's happening with like iron right now, right? Iron is really exploding higher. It's almost like breaking above the previous highs back in December and basically the July highs as well. It's kind of like a triple top right now. But when you use the GAN and the fibs, what is it really doing? It's breaking above my ARK. It's breaking above the 786, and it actually closed above it last week. So this is setting the stage for an explosive move higher too, assuming this 1388 can hold. Right. And if that can't establish a nice foundation, a nice base on top, then we're going to see price do the same thing. Maybe you go to the 19, maybe go to the 28, maybe even get to some of these fib extensions above in the 60s and the 100s. Right. I know it seems unfathomable right now, but we haven't really experienced this kind of giant move. Right. A lot of people, they weren't in this giant move before, which we can see right here from the 2022 bottom, which was up what 1,400%. Like a lot of people haven't seen that move. So if we see something like goes up another like 10x, then that's something pretty massive from current levels, right? And this is just the beginning for a lot of things. And we can even go to maybe CLSK here and take a look at that chart, and it's getting close to its 45-degree angle. It's getting close to the 50% fib. It's getting close to a lot of things to break. And once it breaks back above this like 1370 level, I think it's kind of good to go. It's still a little lagging behind compared to iron, but when you look at the high time frame here, it's still a bunch of higher highs and higher lows, and it's basically a double bottom that we saw back from January 2004 right there on that 382 fib. And something like Mara, a lot of people gave up on that one a while ago too. But one thing about Mara that I've just been paying attention to a lot is how it held the 100-month moving average for over a year, right? Over a year, except for 1 month right here. But it's just, since it broke out in December of 2023, it's just been building an over year-long base on top of that 100-month moving average. And also, from the bottom there, it's higher highs and higher lows, right? Kind of like a double top formation here, but this is just something that took a little bit longer to establish a lower low, right? And now we can see that the next resistance is going to be like the $20 zone, 1955 and above. So I think it's setting the stage for something beautiful, and it's all starting with the WGMI right here, and how it's kind of close to a resistance, but once it breaks that 886, I think it's free to go much, much higher. And it just looks like one giant cup and handle. And it's just more proof to add that this is risk on, right? Combined with IWM, ARKK, Robinhood, Coinbase, all that stuff, it just looks like it wants to be risk on. True.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Bitcoin chart, and I see something just a little concerning. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe there's nothing to it.
Oh no!
But I'm looking at this 100. I know, right? For the 100% fib back to this bottom right here, the 0%. It kind of like went 11.4, 702, 100%. Back test the 50%. Couldn't get back over the 702, so it goes to the 382. Then it gets to 886. Can't get a higher high. Sends it back down to the 50%. Can't get a higher high. Then the 297. This is actually what's a 28? Crap. What is it? 2.82. Anyway, this fib right here is the opposite of the 702, and that kind of held. We got back to the 786. This shouldn't. We won't get anything lower than that. But what I'm concerned with is if it couldn't get over the 100% fib. Well, I'm sorry. That says couldn't get out of this blue zone, the 886. It might come back here to 102.688 one more time. That's just. I'm just worried. I'm just thinking about that right now, looking at this chart and how we lost this 16-hour Ichimoku conversion line in blue. And the baseline's hanging around down there. I don't know if the baseline's going to be moving up anytime soon, but the clouds and everything, I don't know. Maybe we just get one more, maybe just a quick wick. But otherwise, I would love to see this wick hold and the candle body that we've got right now on the 16-hour chart stay over the 702. And then, but I'm worried about that a little bit. Also, because you were just talking about iron, and my chart for iron, usually at this point, after here's from the all-time low of $1.02 to this high of is it 1623? Can't quite make it out. And so this is the wave 1, wave 2, and the subwave 1 went to the 764, which usually means at this point I look for it to drop back to the 382. So 1082 is my target for IREN to pull back to. And then what would make IREN move all the way back down that far? And that's what made me look at the Bitcoin and think, oh, what if it's going to do that? Anyway, even if it does that, it's still from here, higher high, higher low. And it does want to break out and go back up to this, to this 141 up here is where I think we're going next. 119,710. I've been saying that for a while. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say for now. I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Do you see any chance of 103,520 or 102,688 in your charts?
Well, we just got a daily candle close, and I actually have the Bitcoin GAN for the daily chart here that I wanted to show. That kind of coincides with what I'm seeing for Bitcoin exactly. Let me switch to my screen. So here it is. We can see the symmetry of it all, why it's behaving as it's doing. All these lower highs, they're part of the arc, right? It's part of the arc, just getting resistance. So, I mean, is it going to go back down? That would be right down here would be 102 again at the bottom of the arc. So I guess that zone is possible. All right. I'm not saying that it's not, but we can see on my weekly chart, it's still really holding this 105,500 level perfectly as a previous resistance flip to support. So I'm not convinced 100% because higher time frame is really more important than lower time frame. But you can just see this. You can't just deny the symmetry right here. And when we put on the Ichimoku as well, it's still maintaining the top of the cloud on the daily chart. We just had a TK cross as well. It is kind of below the conversion line, but it is upward sloping quite a bit. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. But I think there's potential for price to stabilize here, right? Even if we did like a quick like fib right here, we can see that this is the 50% halfway point right there as well, the 105. So I don't think it's already gone down there multiple times to the 236. And it's bounced. So I think if we're going to see kind of a recovery, maybe back to this 50%, the 105, 120, and maybe it'll start to try to break this arc above. And the green level here is at 109,551. So I think we're in a position where weekly support is holding beautifully, but daily kind of support could go a little bit lower down to the arc. So, I mean, in my eyes, it doesn't really matter. It's all the same range. 105, 102, it doesn't really matter because I'm not here to trade it. I'm just here to accumulate it. And I think what we're going to see is some kind of explosive move sooner than later with Bitcoin, with the altcoins, with everything else. But I think it just looks like more consolidation still because daily chart resistance above. Weekly chart, lots of resistance above with the arcs that keeps getting in the way. So it might just stay in a little wedge for a little bit longer and making people more and more angry until it's really ready to break out, right? I can show you also the total crypto market cap chart here. Basically, it's a breakout back test. I was doing the show with Kat and Luca when this was in development here, how it was a breakout back test here, and it's ready to go, right? There's on the total chart, there's really no resistance above except for the previous wicks, so it's ready to go. Like even if we go to total 2. We can see that it's back above the 45. It's just back testing it right now, right? It's kind of in a little wedge formation, almost ready to go. We can look at total 3 too. It just already back tested twice of the orange level. It's almost ready to go. And we can go to others here. It's basically in between the blue angle and the arc here, just trying to establish a base. But technically being on top of this arc, where this arc usually was a big resistance zone in the past, and then it just was shot up straight to the 45-degree angle as a fake out, but it's on the top side of this arc. And I think that's the takeaway here, that it's like flipping levels one at a time to from a resistance to a support. So whether we go down a little bit more or not, it's kind of irrelevant at this point, because I think the writing's on the wall that all of these altcoins, well, not all of them, but the majority of them, they're going to do well, right? And the majority of them are in a support zone, like as I speak right now. They're not scary at all. And I'll just do one example here of a DOGE on my daily chart, right? it's basically in a support zone. It's at the ARK, the orange level below here, 15.2. It doesn't matter. Like, this is a huge zone. Doesn't matter. Does the percentage really matter from current price down to the 15.2? No, it's not. But this is something that is a very, very solid support zone, and it's there. So this is basically, in my eyes, an accumulation zone, right? We can look at XRP too on my chart, and I don't know what those lines are, but we can see that essentially going back to the Gantt square here, it's in the middle of a range, but it's above the baseline, and it already back tested the ARK down here. So this has potential to hold, right? So this is just range bound, but it is kind of closer to a support zone than it is all this resistance above. So it's nice, right? We can even look at Link right here. This is in the middle of the angle and the level here, which that orange level was a big zone, the 1190s, right? Big zone, nice support. So, I mean, it doesn't matter to me if it goes a little bit lower or not. This, in my eyes, is accumulation, and this is how to build wealth, in my eyes, in the future, by just accumulating. You don't need to buy the exact bottom. You just slowly buy, slowly buy, slowly buy, slowly buy, accumulate. I'm not talking about dump 100,000, $1 billion, $1 million at one level, you know, because that's how you get wrecked. But if you slowly accumulate, then this is how you build a strong, powerful position to take advantage of everything that goes that looks like it's going to go higher.
You're my hero.
Scan box. Was it a scan box for XRP?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah. Looked interesting, whatever that was. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, but the main thing is everything's in a support zone. That's all.
All right, tell us about your favorite cryptos.
That's the longest I've heard you talk for a while, Matt. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can go on and on and on about bullish at support, man, because I'm super passionate about bullish at support, super duper. I love the red days. I love the pain, the suffering, because that's how true wealth is made, really. And I think people need to understand that in order to stop chasing and getting wrecked all the time.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. If you want to flip it to me, I'm just going to show a couple of things here. I'm not going to talk too much. Just this is my log scale again that I've followed for a very long time. It's actually got some really good market symmetry here ever since the bottom of the cycle. Each of these ARK is very, very significant. We broke about the ARK. We backtest the ARK over here. I can even zoom in. And, didn't mean to do that. I can even zoom in and like try to kind of do a little bit more like a close visualization in terms of what's happening. It did look like it just kind of broke through the angle, backtest the ARK down here, and then it broke back above. And right now we got pretty close to testing the angle here. I think that's another reason why the current level could potentially be holding. Could it go down a little bit lower? Sure, it certainly can. You know, like Trager was saying down below. I do have maybe a little bit of level down here, 102.681, you know, somewhere around there. That's where the conversion line is currently at right now. So can it have some, you know, a little bit downtrend here? Possible. Can even, you know, like wick down here and touch that level and wick back up? I think that's entirely possible. The week is still long. It's only Tuesday, so everything is possible here. But overall, I mean, this is still, yeah, it's still a pretty bullish trend too. I want to show one thing, which is you guys mentioned about Mara. You guys mentioned, Matt, you talked about like the miners things. I just want to show like this is MSTR. MSTR actually looks very good too. I mean, I also have a little bit of a log again here. It basically just like it's flipping that ARK from resistance to support. Even if you don't look at the GAN, if you just look at the monthly here, and if you just pull out the Ichimoku, you can see how like the conversion line is like trying to push its way up here, you know. And it's right now we're a little bit underneath of that, but so far, like when I see a move that looks like that, I'm not bearish on MSTR. It actually looks like it's a pretty good setup here. Even on the weekly here, it looks extremely beautiful, like where it just basically been waiting to kind of touch the cloud, and we're getting really close to. Essentially, we already touched it already, you know. So it's just been constantly sideways over here, forming very, very beautiful like cup and a little bit of handle, you know, continuation pattern here. And then last, I want to show this thing that was, you know, just kind of posted on X here, which is the MSTR over Mara spread. So the higher this thing goes, the more bullish MSTR is against Mara. But it's kind of looking like a little bit of what we call like a rising wedge. These things are generally extremely bullish until it's not. Yes, I should say that. Because a rising wedge, if you follow some accounts on X and you follow these falling wedges and you try to buy a falling knife, you would discover that these falling wedges don't really work very well, and you can keep buying a falling knife when price keeps going lower and lower and lower and lower, and as you pay more and more subscription fee for some services out there. But anyway, but rising wedge, same thing, is extremely bullish until it's not, until it broke down. And when it breaks down, it usually tries to do a little bit of a bearish back test. And I think it already did that. So this looks like there is starting to have some weakness here for MSTR over Mara. And if MSTR actually looks bullish by itself, then it just opens up the possibility, hey, maybe Mara will be even more bullish. That is my wondering whether or not something like that could potentially happen. I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah. Sure. Well, it's easy to see when you consider like how much the miners have all been squashed down to the ground. They do have a lot. It's just like looking at Microsoft versus what am I trying to think of? It's just like a large cap versus a small cap.
Yeah.
The small caps are about to outperform. So all the miners that have been squished all the way down to the bottom will do a lot better than MicroStrategy, which is it did a 4x move on the log scale. It so casually moves from $100 a share to $400 a share. But then you look at Mara over the same period of time, and 2021 was not constant.
Yeah, it's just crazy because MicroStrategy also still looked pretty bullish, So if it's rotating, that makes you wonder what could come. I guess while we're at it, I might as well touch a little bit on Coinbase. It's just basically hitting resistance, is trying to break about the monthly upper Bollinger Band, has not really been able to do that. And regardless, I think the thing is we did end up closing about the 0.86 last month, and that's extremely bullish. This is the highest monthly candle ever, right? And then last week was the highest weekly candle close ever, right? And this really has convincingly broke above the 0.86. And we basically have a big move here. We just need to kind of digest it a little bit here, because even if you look at the Bollinger Band here on the weekly, you can see how we opened the week way outside the upper Bollinger Band here. We're simply just kind of come back down and touch the upper Bollinger Band right there, and there's nothing really particularly bad about it. It's just when you get overextended, just cool down here. It's only been a couple days, touch a little upper Bollinger Band. It's not anything bad. Can it go back down and touch the 0.86 here to backtest that level after breakout? Certainly possible. Can it go lower to some of the lower levels here? Certainly possible. But it's just an extremely impressive breakout, and I think that it probably end up having a consolidate here for a little bit and get people a little bit more bitter. Even CONL was hitting the weekly Ichimoku cloud here almost perfectly, got rejected, and you're like, yeah, if you would have bought CONL here, that probably wasn't very smart, because it's right at resistance, and it's probably just not a good idea. But it's still a pretty decent move that it had, and I think both Coinbase and CONL just need to wait for a little bit longer before further bullish continuation. It can come back down as low as some of these little levels over here. I think 318 would not be surprising at all. It can even go down a little bit lower, but I really don't care, because this is a pretty important, impressive breakout that we're seeing. So I just can't be that bearish over on the overall market right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Hood did after it blasted through the 886, and it just went to all-time highs, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a possibility.
Yeah.
Actually, Hood didn't even really backtest if you look at it.
Yeah, not yet anyway. I mean, I do have this lock-in here, which I think you looked at this before too. You're talking about $75 here being a resistance zone. It just broke through that like it's butter, and next thing you know, it hit the arc up here. Would this arc get broken like it's butter? I don't know, but regardless, like you were saying, if I can draw this back on it. If you're looking at the breakout, it broke out about the 0.86 here a lot, 2 months ago, pretty convincingly, and since then it just went bananas because it's expected to, right? Because you break about the 0.86, it just keeps going. That's kind of how the nature of things go. And right now we broke above the previous all-time high. Why do we have a hard time going up higher? Well, because we're way outside the monthly upper Bollinger Band, and generally stocks aren't happy being out here in space without oxygen. So it's just probably need to cool down here a little bit. It's also at the weekly candle resistance here.
It might backtest 100% at $85.
Yeah. So as I was showing again earlier, it broke the $75 zone. It could backtest that. It could backtest the previous all-time high 85, just like you're saying. It could even backtest the 0.86. I think all those things are entirely possible. But if it backtests the previous all-time high, it would just be touching up a Bollinger Band here, and that'd be completely healthy. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. I still think that it's like way above the conversion here. Generally, when things get a little bit too far above the conversion, stocks aren't that happy. You see like this thing over here is like way above the conversion. It's just kind of nothing for like a whole month, and he came back down and basically cooled down, basically touched the upper Bollinger Band right there. So I wonder whether or not Robinhood's going to have to do that. And you might find support here because that's an extremely bullish chart here, but it might go down a little bit lower to like 75, and that'll still be a pretty important support zone. So that's kind of what I'm seeing.
I can see it going like sideways for a little bit until that Ichimoku baseline catches up to the 886.
Yeah, or even just a conversion. It doesn't always have to be a base.
That's true.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. This candle next month, this candle is not going to be counted. So it's going to be this one over here and wherever is the top candle over here. So the blue line is going to keep shooting up. So the month after that, I think it won't be as overextended anymore. Okay. Yeah. That is what I see, guys. You guys want to take back over?
Yeah, I got a coin chart I can show on my screen. I'm actually going to just show the linear scale again version that I have that kind of coincides with the possible back test. And this is it, right? We can see that the blue level is that 318, right? That's the same level as that fib. And then the arc above is around 325. So perhaps it can go a little bit lower, right? And like Kat was saying, that's perfectly healthy, perfectly normal to do that, to backtest that zone, right? One other thing that I think we could actually pay attention to is if actually, I know Tracker likes these trend-based fibs from there.
Yes.
Actually, what is it? Let's go from this one to... Yeah, let's just do this high to that low. Yeah, we can see that it actually has potential to hold the 786, right? And that's at 340.60. So this could just turn into a big wick if it does go touch it this week and close back above it on Friday, right? So that's the 786. So that's interesting to see.
Mine's actually...
What's that?
Yeah. I use the pre-market and after-hours price action as well. My 786 is at 344.37.
Yeah, which still could also be a potential back test. So we could get a little bit further south tomorrow, but on maybe Thursday's the last trading day of the week because Friday is a holiday, right? It could actually recover and go back higher and close back above levels, which would actually be really bullish to go to all-time highs after that. So this weekly candle could be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see where it's going to close, right? Because this trend-based fib is pretty interesting to the levels that it's at right there. So with that, Tracker.
I'll just show you my Coinbase chart, how like it would typically go based on my trend-based fibs. Let's see right here. F11. Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. There we go. So I just kind of take this from the beginning from the all-time low of 31.55 to this high up here at 349.75. This was my 1-2, and then after it made a higher high but a lower low, this became my 1-2. And so after that, I was looking for 764. That's what we got. 381.66 was my target, and we almost got right to it. And then after 764, the next move is the 382, which is down here at 260.11. And I know a lot of people don't believe that's possible. Even I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, it doesn't seem possible or probable. But, I just have to keep my charts up there. HIMS did the same thing. I should just show that real quick. HIMS also did a 764. 382. Here's a 764. And I called for the 382. And, you know, when we were up here, it just looked improbable or unlikely. And then what happened? You know, it did. It went, actually, it tried to make a little higher high, couldn't get there. And it overshot the 382 by just a little bit. But now, and then it did on kind of a lower time frame, it sort of settled on the 382, probably this candle right there. And now we're HIMS is nicely in the heart. It's begun the third wave, the heart of the third wave. So this is wave 1, wave 2. This is all wave 3, but this is wave sub 1, wave 3 sub 2. Now we're in the third wave of the third wave. So this is all of 3 up here. I won't, you know, I'll buy something here. Let me see. I'll buy something here. I'll sell it there. I'll buy it here, and then I'll hold it until we get to the top of wave 3. That's where I'm looking for a lot of these stocks. I just wanted to show IREN again, where once again, I think this is my 1, 2, and it went to the 764. So I'm really looking at it to test back to the 382 at 1082. So I sold, I was kind of worried that it was going to go 618, 236. So I sold into the 618 at 1433. It ran up to the 764. That's fine. I don't always chase the tails. But now that I know into the 764, I will definitely buy it hard down here at 1082 near my 382. And then it goes to the 1382. So that would take it from $10.82, 136% higher to the 1382. Yeah, there we go. And it kind of corresponds, the 1382 here kind of corresponds with the 886 on the retracement side from the all-time high to the all-time low and back again. So here's like, it looks like a, you know, cup, handle, bigger cup, bigger handle, new high, you know, that kind of thing. And the chart just kind of builds up from there. So this chart of mine goes up to $40.62 for the wave 5 top for IREN. But I kind of see another big drop kind of coming here. It's not big to you guys, but to retail traders and people that trade in and out, you know, a 28% drop from where we closed today, well, that feels kind of big. But on the higher time frame, it's not a big deal. If you bought it down here and you're just holding it, you're gonna be fine. All right, back to anybody else that wants to talk.
Yeah, I actually wanted to answer a question here that I see for Derek. What would be a reasonable target for CONL, MSTU, TSLL? I normally don't just strictly chart these, but I find something interesting for all 3 of these right here. So let's just switch to me. We'll start with TSLL. And yeah, it's getting beat up right here. But we can see my GAN that I have for TSLL here that it is basically backtesting an important zone, right? It's the orange GAN level. It's wicking through it. And also the blue angle here, which was a very important level in the past, right? So it's a big breakout, big liquidity grab, breakout. Now it's backtesting this blue angle. So it hit support today, right? 1020. I think that could be a good zone, really. Maybe back to the ARK at the 960s, 970s. I don't care. But this is something that has potential to stabilize in current price, which kind of bodes well for Tesla, too. People are panicking about Tesla when it's also near a high time frame support as well. And then when we go to CONL, something interesting catches my eye there, too. What do we see from the initial, IPO, whatever you call it, down to the 2023 low? It's the 1.272 fib, 4053. It's a breakout and maybe a back test. So it's almost there, right? So that kind of aligns with this chart here, maybe a little bit lower before higher. So yeah, CONL, yeah, maybe a little bit lower to the $40 range, maybe a wick below into the 39, and then basically goes higher. So if it can actually reestablish this 1.272 fib as a support, that's very bullish for the near term, and with the potential to break the 52 and go to the 70s again for CONL. And lastly, MSTU is kind of at a resistance right now. This is why it got rejected, in my opinion. It's been hitting that 50% fib from the low to the high, and that's 871. So this has been a struggle for a couple of months now. So is it going to go back down to the 643? Not necessarily, right? We can add on the other indicators here just to take a look that there's more confluence of resistance with the baseline and the conversion line right there too. So I think that's why we're seeing some cooling off for MSTR, because MSTU is basically telling a story that there's massive resistance at this 870, 860 zone. And I don't think it necessarily needs to go back down to the 643. It's been basically holding a nice floor here with basically this previous low right here, right? That previous low, you can just draw a line right here, and we can see that, yeah, that low right there, it's really holding it as a floor. So that is 732, and that is basically right around current price. So this is all coinciding with the individual charts of MSTR, Coin, and Tesla, how all of them are essentially near a support zone. And this one especially tells a story of why MSTR got rejected, because of a massive resistance that's not ready to break yet. So I think we're there. I think Coinbase maybe a little bit lower. Tesla could go a little bit lower. MSTR kind of looks like it's right there. So these are the zones for accumulation. That, in my opinion, they're not the zones for being afraid. Cat.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit more about Tesla now that you've kind of dived a little bit into it, unless you want to go straight to Tesla as well. I'm sure people want to. Yeah. So I'm going to show different time frames here. This is the 1 hour chart for Tesla. I'm not showing any after hours or anything like that. What does it look like to you? It looks like a big
island
gap down.
reversal.
Looks like it's done nothing. Yeah, possible.
Oh yeah, island reversal.
Yeah, it's possible. It's done nothing. Bears have all the time they needed after a big move down like that. All these are just inside candles, done nothing. Big giant gap down here. And they have all day. There's not really any additional volume to really try to push the price lower. So yeah, not very impressive. Let's look at the daily. What happened here? You already had weakness up here underneath the 20-day moving average, and it's already downward sloping. You had a hard time breaking above to get to the upper Bollinger Band. So what's it going to do? Let's go to the lower Bollinger Band. Did its thing. It's not a surprise. Whenever it looks like it's going to gravitate, downwards, it's going to get closer to the lower Bollinger Band here. It did its thing. So right now we're actually at the bottom part of the range, which is not a bad thing. Look at a weekly. What did it do? Well, it touched the 20-week moving average here perfectly, right? I mean, you had a little bit of a bearish candle here and here. It just wasn't ready to break above the 20-week average, which is a little bit negative slipping here. But it's becoming more and more flat over time, and it just simply touched it. Did it touch it almost perfectly? Yeah, I think it did. Interesting. Let's look at a monthly here in terms of what it did. Monthly doesn't care. It still looks very, very bullish. The 20-month moving average is still very much upward sloping here. And you're still kind of just stuck in a range between the upper Bollinger Band and lower Bollinger Band here. It still looks pretty healthy. Overall, it's been forming higher lows and higher highs here on the monthly. Got a little bit of a trees at the top, a little bit of the trees at the bottom here. We're just kind of stuck in the middle. But overall, the 20-month moving average is still rising. Looks pretty good, right? Let's look at the 3-month chart here. What we got here on the 3-month, interesting. It's still holding the 60-month moving average, right? Whenever it's kind of holding a higher time frame average like this, and a Bollinger Band is squeezing like that, it might get you ready for a big move coming up. When is the last time this has happened? Whenever you have Bollinger Band squeezing like that, I wonder what happened after that. So if you're looking at different time frames, if you're just kind of pay attention to these kinds of things, I really don't care what it does. Like, it broke down underneath the base here on the monthly, but it's the first day of the month. I don't, that doesn't really bother me. It did break down underneath the weekly Ichimoku. Oh no, I'm so scared. Has it done that before? Yes, it has. Ultimately, what ended up happening, it's fine.
Well, the week's not over yet, though. The week's not over yet.
Exactly. The week's not over yet. And we started a week right around the conversion line, so we could very well just be a big wick. If this turns out to be a wick, it can actually be very, very bullish. Like it's one of those things that if you don't die, then it's actually going to look pretty good. So yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really that concerned. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just look at a Bollinger Band. I think it tells a perfect story. It's just needed to do what it needs to do to go sideways and bore everybody. Even look at what it's done over the last few weeks. Nothing. It's done nothing over the last few weeks. So why are people's emotions?
Because delivery numbers tomorrow, Cat. Delivery numbers.
Oh, okay.
Well, repeat after me.
Well, and also
the bad news has already been priced in. the bad news.
Yeah, I saw your
It's hard to
post.
be
That was a
comfortable.
really good
Yeah.
post, actually. Yeah, I'm done talking about Tesla, guys. One of y'all take over.
Oh, I
Please
know
feel free to
Tracker
jump
has some
in.
Tesla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll show you my Tesla chart. Let's
Yeah.
see. This is not it. Oh, this is funny. I brought up
Yeah, I like your posts.
the island bottom. Here's the. Do you guys recognize this ship? It's the SS Minnow from Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island. Yeah.
Skipper. So anyway, yeah, Tesla on the 16-hour chart. Look here, the moving average 75, cupped it ever so gently right here in the nethers, and is support. Moving average 300 is moving up. Yeah, it's got a little island doji down here at the bottom. It's ready for a big reversal higher. And so I think I kind of called this moving average 300 as where it was going to hit support, about 292. That's where we got today. And I'm calling 420.69 is next. 420.69. It's gonna, just like before in the past when it's done this before. Right when we get to 420.69, the market makers just start selling shares like crazy to the retail and everything, because all the retailers are bidding 420.69, so they keep selling everything for like 420.50, 420.51, 420.52. They sell a bunch of shares and then they let it go, and then it rises a bit to like 430.89, and then they just sell the thing off again and they buy all the shares back again lower. So I'm looking for 420.69 next. It goes to 430.89, then drops back to 377.85, and then can continue on to make a new all-time high at the 764, 509.71. Whoops, don't move that. And then it sends it back down again to the 382, where people will say that's unthinkable. It could not possibly do that again. But yeah, this is my projection for maybe a spooky October, maybe October 31st surprise. Maybe we'll see a 362 one more time, and then after that, that's where you buy the hell out of it, because this is the wave 3, wave sub 1, wave 3 sub 2, and then after that it goes from, is that right? Is it this one? 361.98 to 748.71. This is what I was hoping we were going to see this summer, and instead the market sold this whole thing off. When I made this projection that we might see 700 by July of this year, Tesla price was still up here in over 400, near 476. This is like before December and January and February and March and April did all this damage to the it pushed price down to wind it so it could go up higher. But yeah, after 509 to 362, 748, back to the 100% fib extension at $601. And then on to the wave 5 top, the 2382 is up here at $1,135. This is the purple path that I was showing you guys before. I kind of deleted the other paths because they're getting messy. And this is the one I'm leaning into right now. This purple path, as you see it here. So, you trade in out, and I'll sell the one, I'll buy the two, I'll sell the one, I'll buy the two. That's where we're at now. I bought the two today. I bought this too, and I bought some calls too for tests for TSLL. Actually, that's a little trick from me to you. If you want to buy calls and puts and stuff on Tesla, don't do it on Tesla, because the options are so expensive, and everyone's trading them. Buy it on the underlying, like the TSLLs and the TSLZs. You can trade options on those as well, and they move twice as far, so you get more bang out of your buck for it. Anyway, I bought a bunch of TSLL calls, and yeah, I'm looking for, and so then you sell this one and you buy this two, and then you just let it ride. So that would be from 362 to the 1382. It's like 100% in Tesla. It'd be like 107% in Tesla. It'd be like 200 and about 200% in TSLL after you subtract the decay. But there you go. I'm super bullish on Tesla. It's just gonna, they love to do this to us, right? Big highs, big lows, big highs, big lows, unconscious, unfathomable moves that then just become commonplace. And oh my God, just look at this chart. Anyway, this is why I'm just tracker now. I had to divorce myself a little bit from tracking this every single day. Whew. All right. Back to anybody else who wants to talk.
Tracker, Palantir, what do you think?
Palantir. So again, I kind of warn people. This is the wrong screen. I'm looking at the restream video screen, thinking it's my screen. So Palantir, let's go to the 16-hour chart. I said, be careful because it hit my 764 at 145.47. And so typically after the 764, it goes to the 382, and that's down here at 105.43. So, and yeah, on the 16-hour chart, we've lost the conversion line. We wicked below the, let's go to the 8-hour chart, below the baseline. Well, here you can see the baseline became resistance. The 16-hour chart, you can't really see it in the 16-hour chart, but this price in itself, I think some point during the day, it turned this into resistance as well. So yeah, I think, at least we'll test the moving average 75 right here is down. It's on its way up to the 50% level at 117.80. But, typically after 764, the 382 is next. And I've tried to tell people for weeks to buy protection as we got closer to 145, 150. And this is why. All right. Back to you. But, Palantir, once it does these 1-2s wind it up to go even higher. So after a 382, you get to the 1382, which would take us, about 98% higher from 105.43 to 210.23. Then it drops back for the wave 4. Nobody likes the wave 4. Also, if this is short, this could be kind of long. That's the theory of alternation with Elliott wave theory. If your wave 2 is shorter, your wave 4 will be longer, so it'll be kind of painful to hold all that. But then you buy the wave 4 and you ride up to wave 5, and that would give you another 82% on top of what you made down here. So you could stack this 98% plus another 82% to 315.03. That's my 2382, and it lines up really nicely with a 261.8 retracement fib back here. See, I've been highlighting these zones, the 382 to the 236, the 886 to the 702, the 1414 to the 127.2, and then usually the 1618 is really important. But in this case, it's actually the 2618 that I'm looking at. Basically, you're just stacking a whole other 100% move on top of the wave 4, right? 100%. Well, actually, it's 138% from 100% to the 232 is 138%. So yeah, that's and I said the 125.41 to support test. Oh, I'm still saying it. We haven't hit it yet. It's got to test this. It's the previous all-time high, right? Either it hits that 100% and holds it, or it drops down around this 886 to my 382.
How likely do you think 125.41 is going to hold?
I when I draw this chart, I guess I could take it back to the all-time low. I kind of took it back to the pandemic low. Where are we here? No, that's 88. I mean, these kind of line up. I don't really. I just kind of see it doing the test and then failing it. That's what I'm expecting to see. I expect to see that fail, and then we just go back into the cloud for a little bit.
But we're going risk on, and this is a market movement stock tracker. I don't know. Yeah, it's. Yeah.
They just, maybe it'll be really fast. I mean, it could be like it hangs out. Yeah. Then like you wake up one morning at 4 a.m. There's a candle that went boop and then came back up again, and that's it. Yeah. That could be it.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Interesting. No, I just wanted to.
I know, right?
I just wanted to take a look. Or potentially like the 50% holding too. Sometimes it doesn't have to retrace to the 38.2. So I don't know. It's tough to say.
I know, it's wild.
Yeah.
My fib extensions, they do hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead and talk about something else. I'll try to find you an example in 432.
No.
Tesla loves
All
to do
good. No.
loves to do
all right,
it.
Matt, show me what
Here's
you
your
got for
wave
Palantir.
1, wave 2.
PLLLTIRRRR.
Yeah, not P tier. We don't want our PP to tier. We just the regular ball shaped thing from Lord of the Rings would be.
Oh, you think so, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. While Tracker's doing whatever he's doing, I'll switch to my screen here. So here's why Palantir sold off. It hit the 3.618 linear scale fib from the 2021 high to the 2023 low and nailed it right almost on the dot. And so we're going lower. So what exists lower? Well, the conversion line, the Ichimoku is at 126.77, which could be a possibility, which actually kind of coincides with my daily chart GAN for the green level, which is around 124.50. And that also coincides with the top of the daily cloud in a few days, maybe by next week, right? Maybe by next week sometime it could touch that cloud and then finally try to reverse and go higher. So there is a potential to stabilize in the 126, 124, 125 zone. And it did start to close candles below the baseline. So could we go lower? I think the answer is obviously yes. And I know Kat saw it too, actually. When you go to the monthly chart, it did start to open a new candle underneath the Bollinger Band. Cat, what do you think about that?
Normal. I mean, it's not. It's starting to lose momentum here a little bit, but again, it's still the first of the month, and I think there are some stuff down below, just like what Tracker was showing us, that it would be beneficial for it to go down and touch a little bit, because I think it's just been looking like it's going up and it's a little bit exhaustion move over here. So I think having it flush down, however low it gets, is not a bad thing. Yeah. But I don't necessarily think that the bull trend is over just based on the fact that we're inside the Bollinger Band.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think so too. But it looks like it does want to cool off a little bit, especially after reaching that 147.31. So the targets below are pretty clear to me, that 126, 124, that's probably one of them. If it wants to go inside the cloud, it's got so much space to do so. If they wanted to make people panic, just to go back down towards 100, that'd freak a lot of people out. I'm not saying that's going to happen, because this is a previous resistance flipping to a support. So this has a good probability of holding in this zone, because there's also the Ichimoku cloud as well. So I still think a little bit lower first before it attempts to break higher. So that's my main focus for Palantir. But yeah, I'm not concerned at all. It just got rejected right where it should have.
Yeah, I mean, the smaller degree 1-2 kind of mirrors the larger degree 1-2. So if you look at the 1-2 from late mid-February to April 7th on Palantir, then you kind of get that same kind of violence here at the smaller degree wave 1-2, the wave 3, subwave 1, and subwave 2. We could look at it on your chart, but yeah, here. So you get this move oscillation. Let's see if I can draw a path right through here. Yeah, I can kind of. Let's make this big so everyone can see it. 4 pixels, solid. And I'm just going to go right from here. And see, it just kind of bisects these 2 points, and then you get the same symmetry across that same line. I don't want to freak you guys out. See, like how symmetry, support, loss of support for symmetry. Maybe it just wants to do that. I mean, that would be a little bit more symmetrical. Like my moving average 75 is coming up to here. Maybe just test back to this 50% level. usually gets the 382, but maybe it's just it's a wick to the 382 and the candle body doesn't go any lower than the 117.80. And then we go on to the 132. So don't let this freak you out, because it will probably be a very quick moment. Like I say, I want to pause it. So yeah, maybe just candle bodies no lower than 117.80 with wicks that run back below. But yeah, so see symmetry from about the same distance on this side as that side, same distance on this side as that side. Yeah, I like that. Right. And then, just kind of, if you're new to charting, if you're getting into charting, if you're interested in charting, we spend a lot of time looking at the interplay between Fibonacci levels and moving averages. And then the Ichimoku clouds are really just built out of moving averages themselves on very specific time frames. It's a beautiful interplay. And I suggest anybody that's learning charting from the beginning, or even if you've been just trying to get a better handle on technical charting, start turning on like moving average 75s and 50s and 200s and 30s, and watch how these lines race each other. Maybe take advantage of TradingView's bar replay tool and take it back and then play it and watch and see how the moving averages flow with one another. This is how I learned technical charting, watching moving averages move with each other. And so you do it enough times and you can see how you can project how the moving averages are going to move in time. Like I know the 75 moves faster than 100, not just because of the math of it all, but I'm just used to watching it move like that. Anyway, that's all. I just wanted little tips from me to people who are up and coming, want to become chartists as well. Look at the moving averages and how they flow with one another, and then how they interplay with the Fibonacci levels. When you see a moving average that coincides with a Fibonacci level, you found something really powerful. All right, that's it. So like right here, I'm kind of like watching, will this moving average 75 hit this 50% level at the same time price gets there? Like maybe price will try to meet the moving average 75 at 117.80, which is why I just moved this right here. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. A little tracker tutorial.
Okie dokie. Yeah, no.
I love teaching.
You want to do a lightning round, Kat?
Yeah.
Or
there aren't that many requests, are there? I mean,
there's BRK.B. There's
what? It's 8:47 already.
Pepsi. There's cards.
There's a couple more.
There's cards. There's
can I show my Pepsi chart real quick?
INDV.
I have to show Pepsi.
Yeah, you have the screen.
Let's see. Oh, thank you. So Pepsi looks good today. Don't be fooled. It is simply heading for, let's see, on the 16-hour chart, it's heading for this moving average 75. It almost touched it. This could be a blow off top, or it could be doing, was it a weekly chart that it comes up to here? Yeah, right here. See this Ichimoku baseline is lined up with this 100% moving, 100%. These are Fibonacci retracements, extension. This is a Fibonacci extension going down, right? So here's my wave start, wave 1, wave 2. These are extensions going down. And it did a 618, 11.4 instead of the 236. And it went 1382. And so for 1382, I expect to go back to the 100% level. So if you bought Pepsi down here, you're going to make some money, but get out. I've got this right here. Get out before 144.22, because that's where it's going to sell off. That'll be a blow off top. And then Pepsi goes to $89 after that for the 2382 down here.
Yeah, I always said 145 was a logical target to retrace.
Yeah. Yeah, sell it before here and then short it from there down to there, or buy puts or something. There you go, PepsiCo. It's Costco's not even going to have it anymore. They're moving to Coke.
Who's Who's talking about Pepsi all the time? I see those chart requests everywhere. Like, is somebody big talking about Pepsi out there?
It's like we've talked about before. Like the people just like they like an underdog. They want to buy the falling knife charts. I used to be like that. Man, I still am when I think it's bottoming. But some people just like they see something drop really hard and they think, oh, it's going to retrace from here. I'm going to buy that bottom, and then you get a blow off top, and then it drops even farther. And then now they're bag holders.
Yeah, I don't know. I see Jake posting about it just now. I'm looking through. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Not interested. Matt, actually, a couple of charts I'm interested too that was requested: Ethereum and Bitcoin dominance, and then I can go through the few that haven't been talked about yet, and then we can end the show.
Just give me 5 minutes at the end. I want to give people some stocks that I think they can make money on.
Okay. Well, I don't know. If you're going to get like 5 minutes, then we're going to end the show right here. So.
All right, I'll take 3 minutes right now. Let me just say, Big Bear AI. This is I think it's one of my largest positions right now. If it's not the largest position right now, it's in wave 3 right now. It's already completed. Here's larger wave 1, larger wave 2, smaller wave 1. It went 382.236. My next target is 123.6 fib up here at 1390. So you're going to get, if you bought it right now, well, not right now because the market's closed, but if you bought it before the market closed, it's 113% higher from where price is now to actually to the 1436 to 1414 on the retracement side. But typically 1390 would be my fib extension target. Big Bear AI, buy it. Any kind of dip you see, or just buy it now and you'll be fine. You're going to double your money on it. Tau. This one was called. This is Synaptogenics. I think it was SNPX yesterday, and today it opened with a different ticker, TAOX, TAOX. This one, this one's just a tiny little piece of what could be a much bigger chart. So obviously, like their name, they're like the MicroStrategy of Tau. Instead of Bitcoin, they've loaded up on Tau, and they want to become a Tau bank and whatnot. So this one's moving pretty fast. I think it wants to go. Let's see, from where price closed today, 148% higher to the wave 3 top, about 1965. Then it drops back to the 764 for support, 1447, and then moves another 110% higher to the 2236 up here at $30.61. And there you go. That's all due. Those two will give you plenty of win. Big Bear AI and TAOX. All right, lightning round.
I guess.
I love the cat lightning round.
All right, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. You flip it over to me,
Wait, Mike Alfred, who likes Bitcoin, talks about Pepsi like in a positive way. That's weird.
Fundamental analysis. Ethereum closed above the monthly Ichimoku cloud just barely. I think they were doing that on purpose, and now we're dipping that down into the monthly Ichimoku cloud here. But on the 2-week, it doesn't look bad because it's still holding. It's still range bound between the conversion and baseline. Still underneath the cloud. We still have a hard time breaking above. Back in the 2-week cloud over here on a weekly is also stuck in a range over here. It's just been really tight. And it's trying to pick a direction. But throughout all that, it's still holding the 20-week moving average here, which is a positive thing. Initially, you worry about this being a distributed kind of thing. It might be another ABC down. But hey, so far we're holding the 20-week over here. So not too shabby. And still holding a conversion over here. Not too shabby. And I think it just needs time. I know that a lot of people don't have patience for Ethereum, myself included, because it's been very, very sad. It's been very, very sad. It's been very, very angry and very, very sad. It does look like this may be a little bit of a fake out, like it did before time back before that. But I think because this cycle is just longer, I think that we got a bearish backtest here. Wasn't able really to push through. You need to build up more energy, maybe form a little bit of a cup in the handle and really push through this range to really have further bullish continuation. As long as this is a higher low compared to that, I'm not that worried. But yeah, Ethereum is going to need more time. I just have one thing to say about Bitcoin dominance, and that's it. Just look at the yearly chart over here. I was showing this on Matt Spee's Telegram group because I like to hang around there, and you can see myself and Tracker. You're also hanging around there too. What do we see here on the yearly candles for Bitcoin dominance? You can see like big giant red candle over here, followed by 3 green candle. Wasn't able to overcome this one. Next thing you have another big giant bearish engulfing candle. Guess what we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4. We might be having a little bit of falling 3 methods here. How far does this get up here before it gets down? Well, I think we're close, because if you're looking at the Fibonacci levels here, and I should probably do this in Linea. And Matt's also looked at this too. Whoa, what the? Okay. Matt's also looked at this too, and I think it's getting close to a percentage here, which is 66%, which is 0.76. That's usually a pretty important fib. If we end up touching it, I think that would be it. We got pretty close to it already. I mean, essentially, it wouldn't be surprising to me if it just tops here. But that would be another area to to kind of consider. I'm going to go do some of the chart requests from the very beginning of the show here. Real quick here, INDV, I have no idea what this is. Looks like it's double bottoming. On the weekly here, I'm going to flow some stuff in here. Looks like Bollinger Band is expanding on a weekly. Looks like it's pretty decent here on the weekly time frame, but it's hitting resistance right here, so I probably wouldn't buy. Where is that right now? If you want to buy, you might want to buy some area lower, maybe back test the zone around $12 or something like that. That might be a good area to buy. Maybe it goes down a little bit lower. Who knows? Look at a higher time frame here. Is this thing ready? It did break inside the monthly Ichimoku cloud. Doesn't look bad. It also is starting to reclaim the 20 moving hours. Don't look too bad, but maybe it's reasonable to kind of wait for a little bit of a back test down here below before getting into it. That was that. Somebody asked about card Maple Bear, interesting stock. What do we have here? It hasn't been around for that long, but it's been already above the 20-month moving average. Let's look at a weekly here. It's a little bit range bound here. I'm not sure if I'm particularly that excited about this. If we start from the start of the stock and you do the bottom over here, it did back test the previous all-time high. It's just stuck in range right now between 1, 3, 6, and 1. It's a little bit range bound here. I don't know what to make of it on the weekly here. It's a little bit trendless. I'm it did touch the cloud. It's trying to race above, but it's also got a little bit of falling 3 methods over here. So I'm not too particularly excited about it one way or another. That was that one. And this is this is DFDV, DeFi development. I'm going to go back here to Alpha Moon Lake because that's where I live. It's kind of underneath the conversion and baseline over here is a little bit worrisome. It's underneath baseline over here as well. On the monthly, it's also underneath the conversion. So whenever something like that happens, I do worry that this might be a little bit toppy, and I don't know if I really want to get into it. It looks like there's a little bit of exhaustion over here. It's going to have to probably touch the 20-week moving average here at some point. How it reacts from there, would it end up bouncing back up and go higher? It depends, but right now I'm just a little bit worried that this is a little bit toppy here as far as my taste is concerned. So a lot of gap down below, is forming a pull flag, but hey, be a little bit careful here. I just normally, if it's like a bullish continuation kind of thing, I like to see things that are above the conversion and base, kind of like what MSTR is doing. This thing's just below, so I'm just gonna be a little bit more cautious here. That's all. And you can also see how you have a little bit of falling 3 methods over here. So there was some bearish energy that's not able to really break above. So be a little bit careful with this one. ALAB is trying to break above the baseline, trying to get inside, push through the immature Ichimoku cloud here on the weekly. Not really been able to do that, but it's consolidating sideways over here, building a really decent cup here. I think it might have to come back down here and form a little bit of a handle, and that handle could be a little bit deeper. I think this is a little bit too shallow of a handle. Sometimes it goes to the 0.618, sometimes it goes lower, maybe even go to 0.5 and close the gap over here. And that would be a very, very nice handle, and that would be a nice place to buy. If it ends up going to 0.618 and touch the conversion, that was it. That would be a good area to add potentially. But so far, maybe a higher high, maybe this higher low. We'll see how it reacts and then go from there. That was what I think about that one. And then finally, you have the Berkshire Hathaway. So I never know what to think about this. I'm never really that interested in this myself, but it's just been forming higher highs and higher lows very slowly over the years. I mean, right now there's not really any anything particularly concerning. If I just draw like a fib kind of thing on a monthly, do I see? I'm not really seeing anything crazy here. I don't know. It's always doing it in a very, very sustainable manner. It's been riding the conversion line on the way up here. There's really no concern about the stock right here as far as I'm concerned. Over time, it's just going to keep going higher, and I'm not really seeing any major concern. It doesn't really get me excited. Doesn't really get me worried. It's just because they have a bunch of cash. So, all right, I'm done. 9 o'clock. Do we have anything else? IOBT. IOBT, what is it? IO Biotech. Nice double bottom here, a little bit of Adam and Eve over here. The biggest question is, has it reclaimed the 20-month moving average? The answer is yes. So I am flipping a little bit more bullish onto here, because whenever you have an Adam and Eve bottom and you're reclaiming the 20-month moving average, flipping from resistance to support, it's generally a pretty decent look to it. So I don't really find this to be a bad stock here at all. If you also look at Ichimoku, it is stuck in a range, so you see how magically it happens. Getting rejected here by the baseline, it's just stuck in a range over here. So maybe it's just stuck in range here for a little bit longer before it break out. But I favor a stock whenever it's breaking above the 20-month moving average. So
pretty good. I just wanted to end the show with this right here, showing you the total 3 versus Bitcoin, and it's basically back right at the 786 for the retrace. So this is right where things can reverse too, guys. So this is the altcoins against Bitcoin. So more confidence that there will be some explosive moves with some altcoins, no matter how desperate or sad things look. I still remain very optimistic, because this is more proof that altcoins are in that support zone. So with that, guys, thank you, Kat. Thank you, Tracker. I'm excited for the months to come. I think it can be something very, 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 very exciting, even though it seems depressing right now.
Yeah.
Well, we're just looking for the support tests. Yeah. But once the support tests are done, it's the heart of the wave 3. We're going to get the longest, strongest, the best part. Everything that we were looking forward to at the beginning of 2025, before we got like the January to April 7th thing, it's coming. Now it's here. We just had a bigger oscillation move. So that's good, because now it primes us for a bigger oscillation. I mean, anyway, that bought the bottom April 7th, you've made so much money back since then. I have as much money as I had before it all dropped, just trading back up.
Yeah, Cat likes the longest and strongest waves too.
Yeah, wave 3. Go.
Yeah, it's the indexes are near all-time highs, and IWM's looking good. Bitcoin's near its all-time high. The rest of the stuff's just lagging. I mean, that's probably where the opportunity is at. So. I'd say it in such a bored way. Like I'm hoping to maintain my tone whenever the market gets really euphoric. I'm like, like we already knew that it was really bullish 6 months ago, but hey, it's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves. You guys keep doing your thing tomorrow morning.
Yep. See you guys tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Have a good one,
everybody.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.